I wanted to focus in a little bit on something I touched on a few days ago, which was the Jordan Belfort thing. And I'm not talking about all of the stuff that he did or the exploits in the movie and stuff. I'm not talking about all that stuff. I'm going to zero in on something that he was accused of doing, which was the idea of pump and dump, where you buy the majority or almost all of the stock of a company that's not really worth that, and then you pump the price up. I mean, we all know how the mechanics work. For most of us, we know how those mechanics work out. And then you have somebody, your friend, sell into it so that you're pulling the money out and so on. Okay, keep this in mind. Belfort, right, got caught for that, but that is still very much a practice done to this very day. It is still being done, and it's being done on a very large scale. It's being done by the people who control the FBI. Because you're like, well, I thought the FBI was autonomous. No, they're not. They're highly controlled by the people who pay them, right? It's kind of how it works where you work. Somebody who pays you to do a job, you do what they say, right? Makes sense? So if you work for the FBI, whoever signs your check, you're going to do whatever the fuck they tell you. I mean, right? So if they say, don't enforce this, you're not going to enforce it because, well, you could lose your pension, blah, 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 right? And I've been over the whole IQ thing, here a dozen times. And people fall for this kind of stuff because they mistakenly think that in the future I'll get more money when you shouldn't be agreeing to those terms. You should instead be saying, no, you can pay me at time of service just like any other business. But people don't think like that. So they get people roped, they get these folks roped into pensions, and works for any agency, any police department. That's why these people are getting dumber every day. That's why your cops are getting dumber, your feds are getting dumber. Like, everybody's getting dumber by the day. And it's because they have to find people that are willing to enforce all this stupid shit because of patriotism. And usually patriots aren't very smart. There's no nice way of putting that. I have yet to meet any America guy no, dude, come on. If you want to be fairly smart, you say, no, I'm patriotic, but I'm patriotic. It's a two-way street. It isn't a one-way street. Battered voters do one-way street. Thinking human beings do two-way street and say, no. I have no problem at all being patriotic, and I love my country, but I'm not going to be mistreated. This is the take no shit thing. And a lot of people have forgotten the take no shit part of that. Now all they do is eat shit and say, what a cook. That's all they do. So, yeah, you're going to have to get a fucking attitude about this stuff. And most people are not going to. You're just going to keep eating their shit and just enjoying it and getting unhealthier by the day. You're going to take whatever nonsense injections they want you to take. You're just going to keep doing this kind of shit. And it's fucking pathetic. Really. It really is. So, anyway, the idea that was exclusive to someone like Belfort, that's not, right? That's done all the time still. Many of your 401ks are full of these dog shit companies that aren't worth fucking anything. But on paper, they look good, right? Wealth on paper is not wealth. Wealth on paper is not wealth. That's not real. Until you take the money out and start doing something with it that you want to do in your life, because I assume that the reason that you earn a living is to live a life. I'm assuming, right? It isn't just to keep making more living. It isn't just to keep making more and more money. I assume that you're trying to make the money so that you can go do something with it that you would like to do. And everything will always be out of reach, just so you know. That's the name of the game. Everything will always be out of reach. And the reason it's out of reach isn't because of the, people are always setting new goals and so forth. You can set new goals to do all kinds of shit. It doesn't have to be money related. That isn't it. That isn't it. It's always out of reach because of inflation. They will always inflate more money to where you can't actually own. And again, we're not talking about cool watches and a nice car. We're not talking about that shit. We're talking about the things like the hard stuff, like your real estate, your real estate, the ground on which you live, stuff like that. That stuff is always going to get progressively more expensive. Okay, that's the name of the game here. It's what they've done in other parts of the world. Okay? You inflate the currency, and then that keeps prices going up, so that way the loans that you've put out there can be repaid. Those loans get repaid with now devalued currency, which pushes prices up even more. And it's always going to be out of reach. It's designed that way. It is intended to do that. It's intended to break you. It's intended to make sure that you don't own land, specifically land in your own country. It's designed for that, to make you renters, permanent renters in your own country, in the country that you're told is yours. It's designed to do that. That's why they'll keep raising the taxes. They cannot have you owning stuff and then being able to be kings on your, because then you become your own king, and it's really hard to mess with you then, right? They then have to find some other way to deal with you. And that gets messy, okay? Especially if you can deal with them back. This is, of course, why the Second Amendment is in our Constitution. I don't care about how many school shootings there are. May sound surprising to hear somebody say that, but I don't. Because, I saw that there were like 400 fucking guys at Uvalde who showed up and inserted their thumbs in their asses and hung around, and nobody did shit except for one fucking guy. That tells me that there were 400 too many employed. That's what that tells me. It tells me you only need that one fucking guy. So, that can deal decisively with this kind of stuff and not stand around trying to figure out what they're going to do returning texts. So, yeah, people are going to have to get their shit together, on this. And then, of course, the fastest way to not have a bunch of school shootings is to, have a culture and maybe control the schools that you're sending your kids to, meaning that you get the government out of schools and get rid of the whole idea of this mandatory nonsense education that is just nothing more than government worship at this point. I don't care if I'm the asshole that has to tell you the fucking truth, but nobody else will, apparently. Everybody just tells, everybody out there just tells them what they want to fucking hear. Nobody wants to tell anybody the fucking truth. The people that are dangerous aren't the people telling you the truth. The people that are dangerous are the ones that are telling you all the fucking shit you want to hear, and they're lying to you constantly. That's how you can tell if you have a really shitty salesman. For those of you who don't know, a really shitty salesman, right, will just tell you literally everything you want to hear. They'll, for real. That's how you know you have a shit salesman. That's how you also know you're being lied to, and that they probably can't make any of the bullshit that they're. Think about it. Next time you have somebody come to your house to sell you something, whatever it is. I'll use generators as an example. I know that one pretty backwards and forwards. Someone goes there and they just tell you everything you want to hear, and you're like, all right, hold on. Am I going to hear from you again after I sign this contract? Nope. You'll never hear from that fucking guy again. Your stuff's going to be handed off to somebody else who may or may not know what they're doing, and they're going to say, oh, yeah, we can't do any of that stuff. That's what's going to happen. Happens all the time. Happens all the fucking time. So, yeah, that's how you know you have a really shitty salesman, is people just showing up telling you absolutely everything you want to hear, and you're going to get screwed on the back end of that. The really good salesmen tell you the fucking truth. They'll stand there and tell you, nope, nope, here's the price, it's this much money, and no, it's not going to make all your fucking dreams come true. So, that's reality. If you want more, you're going to have to pay for that. There's nothing free in this world. There's nothing free in this world. Sorry, leftists. I know I hit right all the time and such, but my left hook is pretty good. And yeah, when I come back and I hit you guys, dude, there's nothing fucking free. So stop saying stupid shit like that. Free healthcare. It's no such fucking thing.